Howdy, High Tides. I'm Jed Hoff from the Beach Film News. The Thanksgiving sure was a weird one due to COVID-19. There were some pros and there were some cons. Some pros to not being able to see some extended family this Thanksgiving was that I didn't have to talk about anything political. There was more pie for me to consume, and also just more all-around free time. But clearly, some cons are that I wasn't able to see people that I usually see over the break. But Thanksgiving break is ending, so we've got to get back to learning. So why don't we learn about our new Vice President, Kamala Harris?
The 2020 election was one of the most frantic and confusing periods for all of us, as we are literally living through history. We have to look back and educate ourselves on people and topics that affect us and our lives. We should put in the effort to learn about the people in office and what it really is that they want for our country. When it comes to Kamala Harris, the new vice president in office, there is a lot to learn. Kamala Harris is an American politician who is a member of the Democratic Party. She is the former Attorney General of California and is now the Vice President of the United States. Kamala Harris is the first ever woman to take the position of Vice President in the U.S., and not only is she the first African American and person of color to be Vice President, but she is also the first Asian American. To look back into her past, Kamala Harris first started growing as a politician when she was elected District Attorney of San Francisco in 2003. Later in 2010, she was elected Attorney General of California and served from 2011 to 2017. In winning the 2016 Senate election, Kamala became the second African American woman and the first South Asian American to serve in the U.S. Senate. Kamala Harris is well known for her groundbreaking positions in office as a woman of color, but it is also important to be aware of where she stands on certain political issues. When serving as Attorney General of California, Harris wasn't always very clear on her perception of systematic racism and what actions she was taking towards change, but she now takes a strong place in the rooting out of racial discrimination. Harris has called for economic and educational investment in communities of color to ensure the growth of a healthy and safe environment. Her and Biden, the President of the United States, have also called for the banishment of no-knock warrants and chokeholds. Harris has participated in several protests and has passionately spoken out about her views on the topic. Only time will tell if the 2020 presidency will actually cause a major change in our country and in its corrupt system, but in the meantime, it's important that we stay active and well-informed.
You know, one of Kamala's big points is COVID prevention. So why don't we check in on COVID?
Hey High Tides, I'm back with your weekly COVID news. This week, the U.S. continues to be top one in COVID cases around the world, with 2,316,591 cases. Next is India, then Brazil, and then comes Russia that has made its way to the top. In the United States, the states with the most COVID cases from November 13th to the 26th are California at 1, Texas at number 2, Illinois at 3, Ohio at number 4, and Florida for those dates had 98,057 cases. This week, from the 22nd to the 28th of November, cases in Miami-Dade County, Florida, and the U.S. have followed similar trends. The cases increased on the 22nd, and then on the 26th, decreased by a lot. It is interesting that no new cases were reported in Florida and many other states for the 26th, which was Thanksgiving. It was probably due to the closing of testing sites for Thanksgiving. Similarly, no new deaths were reported for that day in Florida. There were no similarities except on the 26th, there was a decrease in deaths. That is all for this week, High Tides, and remember to keep that mask on.
A big part of Thanksgiving is the leftovers for the days after. But what do you do with those leftovers? Here's a piece about how to make turkey soup.
Thanksgiving, a wonderful holiday where we get together with friends and family to be grateful for others and share a great meal. And talking about a meal, let's see one that can be made with the leftovers of a turkey. Turkey soup. It can be made by placing turkey leftovers in a pot with water, salt, and bay leaves. After that, you can add more vegetables and then take out the bones, and there you have it. This was a simple recipe, but there are more out there you can try. Have a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your turkey soup.
Soup sure is great. Some say soup is historical. Here's This Week in History.
Good morning, High Tides. Welcome back to This Week in History.
To start this week's segment, on November 30th, 1979, Pink Floyd of the UK released The Wall. Pink Floyd releases the fourth in their series of the multi-award-winning concept albums, The Wall, which is later made into a movie. The Wall featured the most popular single ever released by Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall, which became a #1 hit throughout the world. Next, on December 4th, 1954, the first Burger King is opened in Miami, Florida, by James McLamore and David Edgerton. Burger King continued to grow slowly and in 1967 followed other fast food chains by allowing franchise restaurants. The idea was copied from the fast food restaurant concept introduced by Dick and Mac McDonald. Following, on December 4th, 2006, a 65-million-year-old nest of dinosaur eggs was auctioned to an unnamed buyer in Los Angeles for $420,000. The nest contains 22 broken eggs, 19 of which are in embryonic form, which some of the raptors are clearly visible. The nest had been discovered in Guangdong, China in 1984, and the buyer has not been named. To conclude this week's segment, on December 6, 1966, Captain James L. Halloway III, master of the globe's largest nuclear warship, thinks that a second attack on Pearl Harbor on the scale of December 7, 1941 was unlikely. He remarked, "Since World War II, we have been at war more than we have not been at war. This is the most proficient and most competent military I can imagine has ever existed in history."
Wow, a lot happened this week in history. Many even will say that we're living through history right now. This is most evident by the anti-mask movement sweeping the nation. Here's a piece about that.
What do you think? That COVID-19 is a lie and it's simply a virus made by the media and how it's all one big conspiracy? Or it's really just a deadly virus that people need to be cautious of? Well, to first decide which side is right, let's investigate the details. Let's look at Dr. Fauci, known as a world-renowned physician and immunologist and one of the leading and most trusted figures during the early stages of the pandemic that has been going for almost a year now, simply says that the virus is real and dangerous. Not only is this true and backed up by over 1,000 studies, but also millions of people are dying from it. But there are people who simply say, this virus isn't important at all, it's all conspiracy. The spread of misinformation and basically just not true at all statements have grown so bad that even a US Senate member shared fake news relating to the virus. Well, the answer why these people think COVID-19 is fake is, well, there's no sure answer, but things that amount to why people think it's a hoax, such as the new telephone LTE towers called 5G towers. People think since it's radiating a millimeter wave spectrum that they believe that this causes the virus. Another one is that COVID-19 is just like the flu. While this one isn't as far-fetched, it's much more dangerous news than 5G. This is because when you get the flu, you know are going to recover. But with COVID-19, you can easily die. Now to finish it off, let's look at a clip of someone saying COVID-19 is a hoax.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They can't even count their votes in Iowa. They can't even count. No, they can't. And this is their new hoax.
Not only this person, but millions of other people think like this. This is also not all the evidence pertaining to people believing COVID-19 is a hoax, but it's just a scratch on the surface. Now let me ask you this question again. Is COVID-19 a lie? Or can you really die from the virus?
What to eat? Oh, hey. It's time for second opinions, by the way. The reason you guys are in the fridge is because last week we asked you, the viewers, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side? The answer that you guys chose was mashed potatoes. Good choice. This week, we're asking you guys, do you believe masks work? Scan the QR code, or check out the link in the description to answer that question. Anyway, that's all for me. With Bfn News, I've been Jed Hoffman. You've been you. I think I'll have some pie. Bye.